Previously on 5 Points of Articulation. And my favorite non-Batman, Batman DC Multiverse figure of 2022 is gonna be in another video. That's right, this figure is so special it deserves a video all its own. So yeah, it's Penguin. Stick around to find out why. Welcome to 5 Points of Articulation, where I review action figures and then articulate 5 points to help you decide if you want to add that figure to your collection. The 5 points I discuss are packaging, presentation, posability, playability, and price. I'm Jason, and if you enjoy my content, please like, share, subscribe, do all the YouTube rigmarole. Before I dig in, I just want to give a quick tip of the hat to Emmanuel Contra, who's the only one to correctly guess in the comments of my last video that Penguin would be my number one. Starting off with the packaging, and Pengy comes in an extra wide build box. It needs to be extra wide to accommodate Solomon Grundy's jacket. As if you didn't know, this comes from Arkham City. We can see that Arkham City logo up there. Barcode for those who want it. And back here we have a digital render of Solomon Grundy, an explanation for where his jacket goes, and a key of all the parts you need to build him. Despite all my jacket jokes, yes, I do know it also comes with his head. Down here we see all the figures in the wave. Penguin's image is key art from the game. For packaging, Penguin gets 1 whole point. Moving on to presentation, and at the top of his head Oswald stands at 5 3/4 inches, but to the top of his hat he stands at 6 3/4. From the top, and Penguin looks none too pleased. There's also a little bit of yellow in the skin that makes him look kinda sickly. Nice job on the eye while we're here. And speaking of eyes, this particular version of Penguin has his monocle literally screwed into his head. Slight amount of paint to bring that out, but doesn't draw as much attention to itself as you'd think it does. In case anyone was wondering, no, the hat is not removable. Moving down, he has a bit of a chicken neck, and it's also kind of hard to see, but he does have that box in his throat. Of course, we can see his little ascot, and a bunch of really great textures for the clothes. The fur trim around the collar is very convincingly done. I have seen online where people have given it a gray dry brush to make it stand out, and I honestly might do that myself. I love how the light catches all the details on the coat. As is often the case, unfortunately, the elbows don't match, and then there's some more nice texture in his vest. Looking at his hands, I'm happy that they're human, but there's a line there that makes me think that these were supposed to be painted as fingerless gloves. Over on the other side, his hand has been wrapped up in bandages. That is one thing that gives this version of the Penguin a very distinct look. Surprisingly, there's no texture in the pants. Honestly though, with all the other textures going on, that might be for the best. In its way, the figure's kind of busy, so the pants do balance it out. I love the idea of the Penguin wearing a slight heel to try to give himself just a little bit more height. I always imagine that's the reason why he wears the top hat. Pretty much whatever he can do to make himself appear bigger than he actually is. The obvious question you might be wondering is, why of all the figures is Penguin my number one Batman-related character of 2022? For that, we need a bit of a history lesson. My introduction to Penguin was Burgess Meredith in the Adam West TV series. He was a bit colorful and funny, but at the end of the day, he was just a gangster. And up to that point, that's really all Penguin ever had been. But then in 1992, Tim Burton came along and asked a very daring question. What if the Penguin was a combination of Dr. Caligari and Meatloaf? Don't get me wrong, I love Batman Returns for what it is, and Danny DeVito turned in a fantastic performance, but it kind of broke the Penguin. From that point on, almost every interpretation of the Penguin turned him into some kind of mutant monster. Sharp teeth, a beak-like nose, creepy flippers for hands. That's what he was on Batman the Animated Series, and also on The Batman. And that unfortunately peppered every Penguin action figure we got from that point onward. From here on out, Penguin was always some degree of slathering creature. Even the figures that tried to make him look normal. They just couldn't resist going a bit too overboard. They also always have really weird proportions and terrible articulation. Look at those arms. Is he a penguin or an orangutan? And I say all this acknowledging he always had a comically big nose, but the comic at least made him look more like a cartoon. What I like about this Penguin is he looks like a person. A short, squat, silly person, but a person. Obviously, he has his own unique flourishes, and the clothes do feel inspired by Batman Returns, but he's generic enough to fit anywhere in my Batman display. For presentation, I'm giving the Penguin 1 whole point. Moving on to posability, and Penguin's actually more articulated than you might expect given his unique shape, but still not without limitations. Between the hat, the coat, and his sort of hunchback, he can't look up, but he can really bury the chin. Really great tilt, and all the way... Well, There you go. He can look side to side. Moving on down, he can raise his arm 90 degrees. No forward and back this time, but he does have a bicep swivel. Ozzy also has double jointed elbows. Between how short his arms are and the coat sleeve, I'm very impressed that it isn't single jointed. Moving all the way down the arm, he has McFarlane wrist balls nicely hidden by the cuff. Unfortunately, because of that cuff, they are a little bit hindered. Moving over to the middle, and all of Mr. Cobblepot's torso articulation is handled by the waist. Because of the coat, he can't really arch backwards, but thanks to how roly-poly he is, he can hunch forward a fair bit. He can only kick forward this far, and because of the coat, he can only spread this far. That said, he does get some decent twist in the hip, single jointed knees, but thanks to the fact that they swivel, it kind of makes up for not having a thigh cut. Moving all the way down, the pant leg does hinder side to side, but his ankles can hinge a little, and he does get some pivot. He also gets toe articulation. I'm not going to act like this is the most articulated figure ever made, but it is one of the most posable penguins. Even so, I do need to acknowledge the limitations, so for posability, I'm giving Penguin half a point. Moving on to playability, and Penguin comes with a trading card and a figure stand. If you want to know more about Penguin, pause here. Unlike the other two Penguin figures McFarlane's made, this one comes with an umbrella. They've done a really good job of sculpting it to look all wound up. It does look like a folded up umbrella. The bird head has been very well done, but the throat makes me think, is this a chicken? And on the other end we get a gold tip. Yeah, you can hold his umbrella like so, or like so. I'm guessing because it's just an umbrella and clearly not a gun that they let it slide, but Burgess usually used his just to gas people. And this guy's umbrella literally was just an umbrella. I'm pretty sure it was even only in one scene. Either way, I'm grateful. As I pointed out during packaging, Penguin comes with the vest of Solomon Grundy. He also comes with Solomon Grundy's head. I'm going to wait to comment on him until I give him a full review. But playability is more than just body parts and parasols. It's also about how well your figure plays with others. For my entire Cobblepot collection, and here we have Superpowers, Toy Biz, and Batman Returns. As you can see, Batman Returns is just a repaint of Superpowers. I can't imagine why Kenner didn't want to sell a screen-accurate one to little children. Next up is Legends of the Dark Knight by Kenner. This is the first 6-inch scale Penguin. Here's a Silver Age style Penguin from DC Direct. It came in a 2-pack with Catwoman. Here's another DC Direct. It came in an Arkham Asylum theme box set. It is a repaint of the Secret Files version. Here we have Penguin from The Batman. He has an impossibly tall top hat, but I can't get it to stay on. Next is an import version that I used as my standard for a pretty long time. Here's Penguin from Series 1 of DC Universe Classics by Mattel, and a classic style version also by Mattel. Speaking of Mattel, here's the Burgess Meredith version from the Batman Classic TV series, and here's the version made by McFarlane. Here's the Batman the Animated Series style Penguin from DC Collectibles, the Batman movie version from 2022, the Spin Master version of the movie Penguin. Notice even he comes with an umbrella, and lastly the Imaginext set, which if you want to learn more about, check out this haul video. Of course, the one comparison I'm sure you're most curious about is the Dark Knight himself. I haven't opened my McFarlane Arkham City Batman yet, but here's Arkham Asylum by DC Direct, and here's Arkham City by Mattel. Here's the Designer Series of Grey Capullo version, here's DC Essentials, and if you're curious, here's the Michael Keaton version by NECA. Moving over to McFarlane, and here we have Detective Comics 1000, Arkham Knight, Battle Damaged, 3 Jokers, Rebirth, Pattinson, Page Punchers, and my custom Hush. For some other villains, and here we have the DC Direct Arkham Asylum Joker, the DC Multiverse Arkham Asylum Joker, the NECA Arkham City Harley Quinn, Arkham City Catwoman, Arkham City Two-Face by Mattel, Arkham City Ra's al Ghul, Arkham Origins Deathstroke, Arkham Knight Scarecrow, and then for a couple of comic book comparisons, here we have Hush and Talon, and then for a Megafig comparison, here's Arkham City Penguin with Arkham Asylum Killer Croc, and Bane. For a relative scale comparison, here's Penguin with Pizza Spidey and a Spectacular Spider-Man, and as always, here he is with Stealth Iron Man. Although not every figure was a home run, 2022 was a banner year for Batman villains. This isn't even all of them. And while he may only come with an umbrella, that's more than I can say for some Penguin figures. For playability, I'm giving Penguin 1 whole point. This leaves us with nothing left to discuss but the price. As part of a build-a-wave, Penguin will set you back $24.99. If you're not looking to build Solomon Grundy, that extra $5 could feel pretty steep, but when you consider just how slim the pickings are for a quality Penguin figure, what can I say? A bird in the hand is better than 2 in the bush. For price, I'm giving Penguin 1 whole point for a grand total of 4.5 out of 5. Do you agree with my pick for the #1 non-Batman Batman-related character of 2022? Feel free to cry foul in the comments, and if I'm wrong, I'll happily eat crow. If you didn't see that top 10 list, click here, or for another video, click here. Thank you so much for watching. I'll be back again real soon, but until then, play nice and have fun.